Hey Honest community, before we dive into this episode, we've got a quick free favour to ask. If you enjoyed the Honest Property podcast, please hit like, follow and subscribe wherever you're listening from. It helps us grow, reach more people and bring on guests that you want to hear from. Thanks for being a part of this. We appreciate you more than you know. Hello, and you're listening to the Honest Property podcast with your host Ruth, actually, today. Becky is not well at the moment, so it's just Ruth, and we're the Honest Property Sisters. We've built a multi-million-pound property portfolio over the last 14 years, and we have unfiltered chats about building wealth, purpose, and a freedom that actually feels good. And today we are actually, I keep saying we, like Becky's here, but she's not. But I am extremely excited. I know Becky would be really excited that we have Dr. Anna Attlee. Is that how I pronounce your last name?
Yeah, that's right.
So where do I even start? She is someone we discovered in actually a completely unexpected way because I first came across Seedball and actually bought the product before realizing its co-founder was also a property investor. She's involved in emergency housing and had bought land to begin a rewilding project, which kind of ticks every single box as the kind of person and the kind of ethics she has, feels very aligned. She immediately made me excited to find out that she was the seed ball lady. I cannot tell you how many presents that were gifted to me of seed ball.
Yay.
Most people spend years becoming known for one thing, but this lady, she has been built a life across several very different worlds. And what struck me the most about what's different about her is how actually connected all of the things that she does. So, property, business, nature, and social impact, there are some of the common threads running in everything that she does. And today I want to explore what it means to build maximum impact through business, investing, and life. So, welcome to the podcast, Anna, or Dr.
Oh,
Anna.
that's such a nice Anna's. That's such a nice intro. I love that. Oh, it's so
So,
it's so great to be here. Lovely.
well, I want to start with who are you? And most people know you through Seedball. So, how did it begin first?
So I don't know where most people know me from, which is really interesting. So I used to kind of, I guess, I've grown in three different places. Uh, and now they're sort of leaking into one another and interweaving, which is quite interesting. So a few podcast interviews I'm doing on Seedball, they started going, "Oh, and you do emergency housing," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, you know that." And then I'm doing property, and then you're like, "And Seedball," I'm like, "Oh yeah." So I had like a personal, like a crisis, existential crisis for so long because it was all parallel, but it's all interconnected. So I am just a big tree hugger, right? And I that
You
that's
sound
that's
like
it.
us.
It's just I'm just a big tree hugger, and it's taken me in some really weird and unexpected ways. So I started out just wanting to save the world, which is really silly, like, and it never changed. So I think I was in year six in junior school, and I started the environment club, the conservation club, where we'd all meet together and like work out different initiatives and help the school and plant some stuff, and it was really cute, and I led that. I remember reading little books and like reading that, and that expanded. And senior school, what did I do? Oh, we ran fundraising initiatives to buy like bits of the rainforest. Do you remember when people did that so
I
much? It
remember,
was
I'm
like
pretty sure that
huge.
I did that. How old are you, can I ask?
So I'm 42. Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
I have achieved plenty. That,
you've done a lot.
but yeah, but I was 21 when I was a lecturer, right? So
That's young.
yeah, I was like one of the UK's youngest lecturers. It's insane.
Oh my
I
God.
I know. So when people ask me about stuff, I'm like, it's all seemed very like everything is maximum impact, right? So it's
Mm.
not like I'm super clever. When I was in junior school, I used to be stood up in assembly for talking all the time, and like my headmaster was like, "Anna, have a look at this sixth form." Then when we were on a school trip, "You'll never make it there." I was like, "What?" So I was like, "I'll prove you, man." And I just kind of I've gone at life like really massive and had help all the way through, and like really leveraged that kind of help. So yeah, really, really strange trajectory that led to me being a lecturer. So that lectureship, I was like 21 and saved up money and then went volunteering and sort of moved around the world and did conservation projects. So I worked like in China and taught education, like English and conservation, and Nepal, lived in Nepal for a little bit.
Oh, I love the
New
moment.
Zealand. Yeah, like it's amazing. It's amazing. I've not been like Malaysia. I would love to. So I got to Thailand. So I was working in a wildlife rescue centre there.
Mm,
So I just and that allowed me to get scholarship to do a master's, and then I did a PhD.
wow.
Um, and then it started in my PhD with being sent on a course. They picked high achieving people, I don't know, to go and do like a business course in a
Oh, wow.
weekend.
So that's how you started your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, yeah. So they were like, right, you have a lot of ideas, maybe do something with them. And so we got picked. And Em, my co-founder of Seedball, was in that cohort, and Gina,
So that's how you met her.
yeah, and Gina is like in who's she used to be in Seedball, our communications person, but she's now gone off and started a an amazing project herself in the Netherlands. So we were all picked, and we did a kind of Dragon's Den type thing in a weekend,
Mm.
and no one slept. It was like till 2 in the morning, madness. And then we came away from there, and I started Project Maya. So it started off with Project Maya, which is about campaigning, environmental campaigning, and buying land. And I knew that I wanted to buy land like very
How did you know
early
that you wanted to buy land?
because of my research. Right. So the research at the time was I'd written I've got a lot of papers. I think I've written 24 academic papers, which was actually in the space of 3 years, maybe, very short amount of time. Um, and I thought that would be the way to save the world. And that meant that I was ended up being a government advisor very young, probably like, I guess I must have been 23 then, 24, 25, I don't know. How
So
old are you now?
young.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what's
I'm
going on.
34.
Yeah. Oh, you look so young. Yeah.
Oh,
Like the same thing. Yeah, I was gonna say
yeah,
like
yeah.
your age. Yeah, like you. But then I was like, yeah, you've got kids and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's like our conversation earlier, which people will have missed, where I was talking about getting kicked off Instagram for being underage. Yeah, like anyway, so I was really young doing that. Because I'm very, very productive. That's what it is. So I had a professor would bring me to everything, two professors that would bring me along because I did all the grunt work. So
Hmm.
I was always
You're
brought
an
along.
action taker, basically.
Yeah, and like I would do so when in these papers they were collaborative, but I would do the majority of the draft, and it would be terribly written, and not perfect, but the ideas would be there, and people better than I would edit and bring in stuff. And so Mark would bring me along. He was invited as an advisor, and I was the brought along person, um, because I did all the grunt work and he polished it all and made it amazing. So I was in that and realized, no one's going to save the world. You know that quote where they say, I wish someone would do something about that. And then I realized that person's me. So I was
Yeah.
like,
Oh, I got another quote that I've
yeah.
just made my child watch. So this is relevant. My child watched the Lorax.
Oh,
What's that quote?
yes.
What's that quote?
Yes.
If
We stand for the
someone,
trees.
yeah, it was like someone, if you
Oh, yes.
don't matter, I'm gonna butcher it now, but if
No, I love it.
people don't matter, if people don't care a lot, you've got to care a lot. I butchered it, but I'll find the quote. But it's about,
Find the quote because I had this up for my kids as well, and
yeah.
it's the same thing. And I had the Lorax quote, that quote that you're talking about, where he's like, it's a really beautiful. I had it up for ages,
Mm.
in lots of places
If
and
you
on
don't
my
matter,
vision
if
board.
you need to matter, make it matter. Oh, I butchered it.
Someone like you does care a whole lot, then nothing with
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
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 I
yeah,
know.
yeah. That one, that one.
But it's true. And I thought, you know what? What if we took all this to heart? What if we were like, the things that I'm sad about in the world, stop going to other people to fix. So I learned that quite young. I got to the top of lots of things, you know. So I got into the Green Party and I was like head office very young. I helped at Aberdeen University and was working with the principal very young, advising government very young. And I realized very quickly no one knows what they're doing and they are actually just doing jobs and they don't care.
Yeah.
And that was sad. And those that did care were just losing their will, you know, like
Yeah.
because it's a grind. So this links into our financial freedom stuff, is that
Yeah.
a lot of amazing minds were just having to make rent or mortgage, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, look, if I care, if I want to protect land, because there is not enough being protected and we're losing it, then I'm going to work it out. I've got a PhD, like that's a top percentage of the world. So pull up my socks and do something. So that's how that started. So from that, I did a campaign to stop people going peat free, to go peat free. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and that was backed with Vivienne Westwood, which is amazing, and a few others.
That's awesome.
And yeah, and I started a training company. So that
Is
and
that what
that
that was that you then that made that go around? Because I used to have an allotment, and that was the message around the allotment was not to use that.
that is so crazy. Yes, it's true. I started the Peat Free Pledge that's still going out. It was me. Again, Mark Reed was my PI. His research was on the peatlands and the IUCN. And I was like, Mark, campaign for this. Stop people using peat. This is insane. People are using so much. And it's not being restored. You know, we the amount of peat that's going is mad. So I started the campaign. I made the little website on Squarespace and got in touch with the RSPB and like all the top people. And it's great because I could say, and it's backed by Professor Mark Reed, not this little person. Um, and yeah, and then I slid into like Vivienne Westwood's DMs on Twitter and then got a meeting with her and like loads of amazing people. It's probably still on Project Maya's website. And that's subsequently been picked up again. So they asked me if I wanted to head that again, but it's better for other people. So I like starting movements. Not all of them have to be led by me. Like Seedball was a new thing. So that was the first. Then it was academic training because that's now global. That's trained in like 55 countries. So it's really insane. And that went ahead teaching academics to create impact. And then Seedball was the next one, which obviously has got really huge and more people are doing that kind of product and caring about wildflowers, which is mad and amazing. And then I randomly was like, yeah, we need to 10x this. Like, what are we doing? Like, I think I read Grant Cardone's and I was like, right, let's
Yeah.
move.
As soon as you said 10x, I was like, I wonder if he will.
Yes, I was in a Grant Cardone era at some point. People who like remember
Of
that era of
impact,
me.
yeah.
Like, my God, it must have been really annoying. But I was like, yeah, and it's going to be property. And I was like, what we need to
So
do is have,
how did that come about then from all of that and all that experience that you had? And I
yeah,
knew that you said that you wanted to buy land. So
yeah,
then that was your first taste into property?
yeah. I was like, how do people get rich, right?
Hmm.
How do you get rich? How is it possible to go from where I was caring about the world and doing businesses, starting lots of businesses and campaigns and politically kind of really trying to get stuff going for the environment to making shit tons of money where
Mm.
I don't have to ask permission. Like
Mm.
I was like, how do you not go for a grant? How do you not go for, I have a CIC, community interest company, stop applying for grants. How do you fund that yourself? You know,
Yeah.
so how do you bring in as much money as you want? So business obviously was one, which was why Seedball started. And I was like, people make money with property, and property is really great for nerds like me because I'm super
So who was it
nerdy.
the book that influenced you to get into property because of Grant?
Oh, yes. So no, it wasn't because of grant. I didn't even know he was doing property, I think, at the time. There was like a weird thing where it all came out where everyone's like, oh, he's a big property investor. But that was after I got started. It was Robert Kiyosaki.
Classic.
Um,
Yep, same.
so many people, didn't they? Yeah, so rich dad, poor dad. If
Did you go
people are
to that free
listening,
webinar? Oh,
so,
free, the,
oh
yeah.
yeah, rich dad, poor dad. I didn't know about it, and I was so like. I was like, my God, Robert Kiyosaki knows stuff. So I was watching all of his YouTubes and I was talking to my mother-in-law. And I was like, my mind is blown. This man, he's like a genius. And she was like, my best friend is going to a seminar and you're really good at maths, Anna. And I taught statistics. So I was like, yes, I am good at maths. And you, so she'll bring you along. It was like, I think it was like 500 quid and she could get a free place or something
Oh,
in order to,
wow.
and so I was the free place
You were
with
the free,
no
oh,
idea. And the agreement was that I would come along and help her with the maths. Um, and so I did that. And it was, I don't know, did you do property training or?
I did do property training. That's how we got started because we didn't
Ah,
know anyone that did property at all.
no, I didn't know anyone. This was not a thing, but I remember thinking this would be a good thing when I was 16 and was like,
Mm.
not for me, for rich people. Not like I have no money, I have minus money and no credit score and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, no, this is not. But that blew my mind. Like, so I was sat there and I was like, it's all hype. And it was all like high-fiving people and
Oh
all
yeah,
of
it's the
this,
old school
like,
marketing.
my God. But I was like, okay, I'm sat there also like on the front row because I'm a nerd, writing all the notes, and
Yes.
then
You sound like me.
yay! I was like such a dweeb. It's really funny. I was like there, and then I was like, the math is really mathing on this. This is like a thing. This is no matter how hypey and ridiculous and
Mm.
Americanized or whatever this is. This is real. This is really real, and
If
I'm
you
still
read
inspired.
through all of the hype, it is real. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the evidence is there. You can do this with no money. You absolutely, and I am proof because I've done
Mm.
over 200 deals now with no money. Like you just and I was like, this blew my mind, and there was a big upsell. Um, and I had no credit card or anything. It was like a disaster. So I got angel financed onto that, which was
Wow.
not very sensible of me, but
I mean, you wouldn't
logically.
be where you are now if you hadn't have done something a bit delusional.
Yeah, but also not delusional. If you are like me, like, have you ever done that thing where they say you're an owl, you're a monkey, you're a lion, you're a, what's the other
No,
one?
no, but I've heard of it,
Dolphin.
but I don't know what I've not done it, and I can't remember who came up with that.
It's
Uh,
amazing. Everybody should do this. It's brilliant. And it's like, gives you a kind of your core personality sort of type and also
mm.
like when you're fearful where you go to, so you might like reach out to friends if you're fearful, or you might be like me and then go to the spreadsheets.
You have to let me know. You have to let me know what that is.
Yeah, anyone who's listening, I'll send that because it's life changing, and I do think personality tests are really good
Mm.
for working out where you should go in life if you're a bit stuck. Um, yeah, so this I'm an owl, and I was like, the numbers 100% stack up on this. And I just done a post actually on my Instagram. The only thing is that you need is not money. You need the three C's. So you need confidence, creativity, and I can't remember what I put the other one was. But the point is, it's not actually money. It's other things to do with mindset, and
Mm.
that is the only difference between anybody listening and even where I am now, where you are, like where anyone is that's got somewhere in life. You can be them. You just have to keep your mindset to follow what they've done, because we all
Yeah.
hear it. Oh, I started with no money, I started with no confidence, I started with no whatever. And you can
There's
just get there.
I agree. I think there's always a solution. There's always, if the doors are closed, you find one. That's so cliche to say, but it's true. Like, so many people start with no money, like you said, especially you were young. We were young when we started in property. We had no savings. We were doing a startup business at the same time, still at university, and trying to figure out how do people do these big projects. And you just find, obviously, with the knowledge that you acquire from people who've actually been there, then that's how you actually find out that, oh, actually, there are ways to do it ethically and without using any of the money at all.
Yeah, that's amazing. What was your startup business?
Uh, Pet care. We built a pet care
Really?
company, yeah, and we sold
Did
it.
you?
Yeah.
No way. I love that. So I paid my way through university by being a dog groomer.
Before we continue, here's a quick thought. Ever feel like there's just never enough time to focus on what really matters in your business? You don't have to do it all alone. As they say, a great team makes everything easier. That's why we've partnered with the Freedom Geek. Their talented Filipino VAs help us with tasks like admin and podcast editing, just like for this episode, giving us the freedom to focus on what really moves the needle. If you're looking to reclaim your time and to work smarter, then check out the Freedom Geek. All the details are in the show notes. Now let's get back to our conversation. Oh,
That's how I actually got through my degree. It was like through dog grooming.
I
So I
mean,
love
it's a
that.
lucrative business.
It's a brilliant business. It's a
Yeah.
brilliant business. And then that wound you into pet care to property. So it's not
That
a
came probably, so
it's
it's very opposite things, but it was, yeah, cared a lot about animals and also the environment and what can we do to, both of them just clashed. So we always just led with saying that we were dog people, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's nice," but actually, it's very lucrative.
It is really lucrative.
Yeah,
People care about their animals.
yeah.
Like, honestly, I've said to loads of people, because I advise people on what business to do to change their lives. And I'm very good at what the easiest first step is. And I'm
Mm,
like, so many people, I say, start with dog walking. Like,
yeah. And then
Freya,
you can build a
yeah, I'm like,
system, you can hire staff, and
yes,
then you can have the whole network contractors, and then,
it's
well, we
brilliant.
sold it in
It's
the
a
end, but
perfect. Oh,
yeah.
I love that. It's perfect. Dog walking. I used to do dog sitting as well. Um, Yeah, but it's great. These things you can also listen to podcasts. You can like expand your
Mm.
mind whilst you're doing it, or you can, watch a movie or whatever. If you
Yeah.
actually want to like get somewhere in life, you can make it massive. It doesn't really matter where you start. Start with passion, I suppose, and then
Yeah.
you ended up in property as well from that.
And then end up in property. So it was like following a business that you're passionate about,
Yeah,
making as much impact, like maximizing impact, like you said, and starting something that's actually going to build wealth at the same time so that you can continue doing the things that excite you in life. But
yes,
but
yeah.
how did you get into emergency housing then from land to emergency housing?
So the land thing was my why, right? Did you get
Yeah.
asked what your why was on these trainings?
Yeah, so ours was to retire our parents. So
Oh, I love
yeah,
that.
so we look
Yeah.
after, so that was a big why for us that pushed us through.
Yeah, I
Um
know someone else who's doing that at the moment. Yeah, so shout out to Karen. She's like doing the same thing. But I've done similar, right? So I look after my mother-in-law still,
Mm,
it's huge because you don't have to have one why. So I have the why of being with my kids, and I remember how amazing to just hang out at the zoo every day and in the park with them, and then to look after my mother-in-law who looked after me. And then it was this big one that I've always been weirdly born with, going, oh, I must look after the world and protect land. So I was like, okay, so I went that way. How did I go to emergency housing? It's there in the back of my mind. I volunteered with the Empty Homes Association before I even did property. And when I was a researcher at the University of St Andrews, um, 1 year after Prince William left. Um, damn. So I was like, oh, it would have been great to meet him and make connections. That'd be good networking. But the housing office was next to me. And I always sat in seminars. You sit in seminars as an academic, and I read people's papers, read a lot of papers. Um, and I would think these are amazing ideas, and some things are really tragic. Environmental stuff
yeah,
can be really tragic, which is why I did Seedball, because I'm like, oh my God, this is horrific. But actually, we could save the world if you just plant wildflowers. It's really
yeah,
simple. So you can do, and I said, like, I love making things. There are things that are really complicated in life. So I was working on complex social ecological systems. And actually, I love working out what the simplest way to get to the next step is, right? To
Yeah,
change
make
it
it
all, to change everything. So there was the housing department, and it was really
Before
upsetting.
I realized that I haven't even asked you if you can explain what emergency housing is for the listeners that don't even know.
It's short-term accommodation, really, for people who are homeless or, fleeing domestic violence largely, also families. So it could be individuals coming out of prison. For whatever reason, they found themselves without a house, and the government is legally obliged to provide housing for them. And
Mhm.
very often you'll hear it in the headlines, it's hotels, B&Bs, very, very expensive
Yeah,
accommodation,
yeah.
very bad for mental health, especially of families and children. And temporary accommodation, I do lump in with that, which is slightly longer term, before they
Yeah.
find housing.
It's
So
like a
that's where there's,
halfway
yeah,
house, basically.
exactly
Or
this.
because I know there's like it's like young adults who are trying to get to the next step, and there's programs as well for them to kind of move on to get a job. There's like lots of
Yes.
programs in place, but they need the housing for it.
We all need housing. It all links together strangely. So there was the housing department talking about homelessness on the rise, not enough houses, blah blah blah, and no one actually implementing anything. And so I was
Mm,
like thinking, well, this is a bit crap. Like if these people know the most and they're not implementing things, and plus I was pro environmental behavior. If you want the world to be a better place and not have horrific like homophobia and racism and like absolute hate on hate for everything, you actually need people to be
mm,
happy and housed,
yeah,
right? And it's the basics. Like if you look in cycles of humanity, the happier and safer and more money people have, the more that they're kind to their neighbors and the more everything is
that's
gentle.
true.
Yeah. So the
There's a
more,
there's a quote that I feel like you'd resonate with. I went to go, I don't know if you've seen Joe Lycett perform, and
no.
the comedian, and he has a quote that is literally the motto in my head, and I feel like this would be your motto, which is if you want something to exist, you have to do it yourself. Or yeah, if you gotta bring it into the world, and you're doing just that.
Yeah, it's the maximum impact that you can have in the world, right? It's like if when you die, you write a book about your life. What do you
Mm,
want to say? Like, you were just a participant and this was bad and this was bad. And
yeah.
so, no, or did I do everything I possibly can to make my life better and the lives of others and little animals, whatever it might be? So that emergency housing sort of came from that. And my whole journey in property led to it in a weird way because I started in rent to rent, and was financially free really quickly with that.
Oh,
Um, yeah, like 2 months. In 2 months, if anybody wants to speak to me, it was amazing. It made huge cash flow, which I'd never had, even with all my other stuff. And then I was sourcing properties. I did about 100 in just over a year. And
where were
you
you?
meet
Are you sourcing the whole of the UK?
No, I was just up in Teesside, right? Which is mental.
Um,
It's 4.5 hours from where I was in London. But I taught at the University of Teesside, so I was like, I'll go up there and, be with my Yorkshire folk. And so I was there, and then I met people. You meet people, So I met Paul and Danielle, and they were working in this emergency housing sector, which I'd not really heard of. And they were like, look, we need somebody to fund this. We need someone to back this. We'll be your team on the ground. And you know how to get houses and we know how to run this business. And so I teamed up with them. And then we became the preferred suppliers. And they were like, there's some really bad suppliers out here. And I looked into it and I was like, there
yeah.
are some really bad suppliers out here. So I felt it was kind of like a moral duty. So it wasn't like I was like, okay, I've been told by the universe and I'm not very woo. Well, maybe I am very woo. I don't know. I felt like there was
Like
lots of
logical but
signs.
woo.
Yeah, logical, but
Yeah.
woo. Like, what is that? Like a statistician that's like, and the universe has told me. But I don't know. I am that. I'm like, but why not? Um,
It's enough
if
to
you,
be an owl.
yes, that's true. But I was like, if you hear things a few times, maybe just do it. I don't know. So I was like, yeah, I'll just do this. And that's was the last 7 years. And so that's was amazing. and grew to, like I said, the preferred supplier. And it's very lucrative for anybody who's thinking of this, but you have to be the right person.
Yeah.
I suppose, and get the right systems and know what you're doing. And the demand is just insanely through the roof now. It's
Yeah.
hugely through the roof. Like, and I suppose, like for people that are like you that are more expat, I don't know how you whether you're buying houses now or those that are,
Mm.
the demand, if you buy a house and put it into temporary accommodation, emergency housing, it's a protected system, right, from all this legislative insanity that's occurring at the moment in the UK.
Yeah.
You can get a lease for like 5 years. Depends on the provider, really. And they'll protect your asset, and you're not paying management, and you're like, they'll look after it and do your maintenance. And in the meantime, you know that you're housing people that really, really need this.
So
And
how
it,
does it how does
yeah.
it how does it work? Say someone was to buy a property specifically for for emergency housing, would they need to have a particular mortgage in place, or was it will or a mortgage cannot be involved? Like
Yeah,
in
you can have a mortgage. Yeah, yeah. So you get a specific mortgage.
because I know
That
you do
are
for social housing. So is
Yeah,
it basically the same mortgage product
yeah,
that is
yeah,
for emergency housing? Okay.
absolutely. So it's a mortgage product for emergency housing. More people are going into this, of course,
Yeah.
because this renters reform is actually causing so many people to be made homeless. I
Yeah.
can't even tell you. It's
Yeah, I
made me
can
so
feel it in
mad.
your I can feel it in your
Yeah.
voice and your energy.
It's just it's so, I don't know whether it was well intentioned. I actually have a friend that from my university days that was more campaigning on the renters reform side, but just
Mm.
blindly not seeing what happens, is that I wish people would realize that other people's lives are chaotic and awful, and sometimes people don't pay because of bad reasons, because of good reasons, because we are human, and they don't pay, or they trash your house, or they do something. And sometimes they can bring it back, or sometimes they leave. If in this case, prior to renters reform, you would just be like, all right, go, or you take them to court and they get a CCJ, right? But
Yeah.
I know now from I'm having huge problems with some of my letting agents that they're like, no, I don't want to let to anyone on universal credit anymore. And I'm like, whoa, that is
That's
my
discrimination.
yes. And it's huge. It's across the board because I'm a like have experience in this. A lot of people I've spoken to are very much like, no, we're not renting to those people anymore. So where are those people going? And I can tell you they are all going straight into homelessness. And it's huge. There is 137,000 children in this. Like, I have to check the stats. It's on my Instagram, but it's massive. Children in emergency housing. Like, families are just, they can't get into normal rental, and
So
it's a
what's the
cycle.
solution then? What's the solutions if someone wanted to explore emergency housing and be really proactive and make a huge impact, then how do they start and how do you bridge that gap of like this information where they want to make they want an easy tenant, you know? Like how do
Yeah,
you remove that prejudice?
the letting agents, I understand, right? So this is, why I'm saying it's a super complex problem, right? And I love complex problems to solve.
Mhm.
So I don't think we can solve prejudice overnight. This is going to take a few years to settle, I think.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that prediction means that they will go over this side, which is why I'm like, you know what, pivot, stop what I'm doing right now, and just really try and get more providers on, and try and get more people to put their houses into temporary accommodation, because the government's not doing it. No one else is
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
So and it's not a standardized thing as well. So it's not, I can't say to you, this is how it's set up, and this, because it's not standardized, which means that it's been running like the Wild West. There are
Yeah.
people coming in and they are making tons of money and not caring about people.
Yeah.
And then they get kicked out and the housing's shut down 24 hours. They don't care. They've made a lot, but the landlords are left with the houses that are rubbish. It's Wild Westy. So, but if you can pick the right suppliers and know what you're doing, or become the supplier, then you win, right? So
Mm.
and I know the simple ways of doing that. So I've been working on kind of getting that out and piloting how to mentor people and train into that. But I think
So that's what you do is help people become providers, suppliers, or well, sorry, what's the term?
that's my passion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Provide I want I want to try and get as many providers into the UK as possible. And if I can't do that, then I'll be like, well, okay, rent some houses. If you're new in property and you want to buy, rent your first 3 houses to temporary accommodation, emergency accommodation. If you're prejudiced, rent it to a family because they'll be there 6 months and they're lovely and da da da. You know, if
Yeah.
you don't care, help the really vulnerable and make even more money. But that's my number one is go, right, start off with three. If you're starting out in rent to rent, then do rent to social housing because
Mm.
actually that's risk free as well. You secure the rent for £500 and you go straight to the social housing provider and they will secure it for you for an uptick, probably £900 or something, and you pocket
Yeah.
that. You've got no maintenance. But if you want to be a provider, you could be making about 4,000 a month profit on one house. That is
Wow.
life changing, and
Yeah.
it depends the level you want to go in. So if you just want to start with families, you not make so much profit, but much more than a HMO.
Mm.
Um, and you know that doesn't take a lot before you're suddenly making a deposit a month to change your life. Or my next level of that is okay, now you're super rich and you're obviously a good person because you've come to social housing. What else do you want to do in the world, right? You're making this much money a month. Do you want to buy land? Do you want to start your own charity and
That's
help
really
people with
nice
that?
because I agree with that. I think when you build wealth, it gives you back your time to actually be able to. I think in life, there's a lot of people who work and then they outsource a lot of their life because they don't have the time. But if you are be able to create impact with the wealth that you're building through an example, which is property, and it gives back already, but then it replaces maybe a portion of your income so that you don't have to work so much. Then you can use that time to do more impact personally. It's not about sitting and being someone said to us on our podcast as being a glorified starfish on a beach. That's not what we're here on the earth to do. If
Yeah,
you're someone like you, or and I'm sure there's so many other listeners out there who want to feel like they left a footprint and a good one. Wait, is that the right term? A positive
yeah,
footprint on the
maximum
world.
impact.
Yeah, maximum input, not just paying someone else to do it, actually feeling like you're right at the front line, being able
Yeah,
to make the maximum impact because you've gained your time back to be able to do that.
yeah. And this is the quickest route to it. I'm just desperate to tell people if you want to be super rich and use, and also
And
because
there's nothing
it's
wrong with that. There's nothing
nothing
wrong
wrong
with
with that.
wanting to be wealthy or and
But please,
because then you
please,
can do so
everyone,
much good.
this is the exact thing. So when I came out of my property training, that 3 day, I rang up one of the professors that I'm really close friends with, and I was like, Johan, everyone needs to do this and get financially free and have money because everybody that I know that's good people, they're not doing this. And imagine if all the good people, and I'm not saying you're bad if you're like just want a yacht, right? But imagine if there's more
Yeah.
people like me that are like their why was buying land, There are people like that. There's so many
Yeah.
people that grew up just caring about animals or caring about something big. I was speaking to somebody recently that they want to do a charity where it sends people on holiday, families on holiday. Um, and I was like, babes, you can do that like in a year. Like this is the kind of money where you can do that. And also it's also naturally attracts like really nice people for me to mentor.
Yeah, yeah.
Like on a plus level, it's like, okay, it's a pre-qualifying that generally this is a nice community.
No,
Yeah.
that's completely everything that you just said is exactly how Becky and I feel. I know like our long-term vision is to buy land and rewild and like not touch it, or has been to build a business on the land but make sure a portion of it was like not touched or bring it in. We even looked at glam how to make like an eco style glamping site that keeps a lot of it natural without But yeah, so many ideas. It's if you like glamping, then go to the glamping expo. There's so many ideas. But I just think
Of that.
you can do so much good if you've got the finances to do it. If you don't, then you're leveraging off other people having to make the decisions.
Yeah, this is exactly the point, right? Why stop asking for permission for your life, right? If I can say to you now, right, do rent to rent and you've got massive cash flow, and then do this and then you've got loads of money, and then do this and you can take your kids away all the time, and then do this and you've still got more money and you do glamping or buy land or anything, like the impact that
Mm.
you can leave. I was saying the other day, like, okay, well, the school fair has not raised that much money. And I'm like, why don't you just flip a house and give the whole profit to the school? Because
Yeah.
why not now? I'm at this level. Like what else have I, and also I've downgraded my life a lot recently, which is really funny. I've said to people, so I moved out of London to Brighton and just removed so much crap because I am not a
Oh my God.
consumer.
We've literally done what we've done. We've just culled everything. We're like, we don't need
Yeah,
these material things.
I'm
Like
not
free
materialistic.
up
What's
the
the
mental
point?
clutter.
Yeah, it's never me. So it's really funny is that I'm like, there was a point, probably in my 10x Grant Cardone things, where I was like, oh, I've got a really big house in London and do this. And so therefore, I don't judge anyone who, when they've got money, to just do those things because I've done those things. I wasn't raised with any money really. And so
You've got
it's
to
super
go through
fun.
that cycle to
Why not?
realize that getting to there's like you say, there's no shade because that's people want different things and
Yeah.
different different things like material, can't think of other things, but like there's an urge as a human psych to want to show your status in some way. That's like it's a primal thing, isn't it? To show that you are a good mate or
Yeah. Must be. Yeah.
exactly. And then you get to that point and you go, oh, I don't need to prove myself anymore. But that comes from building stability from the wealth that you built to feel that you don't need to peacock anymore.
Yeah.
I can't say this in
It's
a better
true.
way, but
Yeah.
but then that's not what Becky and I have been talking recently about how it's not aesthetically pleasing to look at on the grid because people want to see proof of by what you look
Oh
like.
yeah, I remember you talking about this. I think that's really interesting. And it's really goes back to like the millionaire next door stuff. As
Mm,
now I feel like I'm in these rooms, right? That and I have been in rooms with very successful people from quite young. And do you know they're always the least peacocky people.
yeah.
When I was doing rent to rent, I was saying the richest landlord that I worked with, he had like restaurants in central London and he was a young lad. I think he was like 35, so he was young for that time. Now I'm old. Um, and he was like, he just had a beat up Ford Fiesta and just the worst tracksuit bottoms you've ever seen. And just like he was never anything. And then also I made friends with somebody very, very high up in Balfour Beatty at a property event. And he was just like, Anna, should we just bin this and go and get chips? It was like this. I was like, yeah, we go. And I think wealth whispers, it's not this loudness that you see. I think I really wish people would really audit their mentors, really audit their influencers, and have a look behind the scenes because it's quite scary when you've been involved like you and I for so long. And then I went through a stage where I was very happy to be off Instagram because I knew so many people were lying that was
Yeah.
scary. And I was like, oh, but then I was like that voice going, well, if you think everyone's lying and that they shouldn't be teaching people, maybe you should.
Yeah,
So
like
then I came
be the
back.
person to do it. Be the person
So
that shows up as a real person that's doing it, not the peacocks.
yeah, and that's where that quote comes back in. And like, we've done it for so long, we should be teaching people, helping people. We're sustainable, we know that, like, and so be the counter voice as much as possible. I actually think our
Mm.
time is coming. Like, I think this is the time for um pure realness because AI content is not boosted. So Seedball is growing exponentially on Instagram at the moment.
Mm.
Um, a lot of what I do on my own Instagram tests what I should do on Seedball. It's quite funny. Um,
How so?
I just run experiments on when to post and what to do and what kind of content works, and then I put it into the Seedball side because I do both. And I dumped all polished pictures. All polished pictures are dumped from Seedball. Anything that is unrealistic, we used to use things where like photoshopping in some flowers and making all look blah blah blah. No, I'm like, people are really resonating because they don't know what to trust anymore.
They're
I think
seeking real. They're seeking, yeah.
seeking real, you know. And I remember when I was my first Instagram account that I was doing, I used to always show it with like a filter or something, like, oh, I don't know. And I was
Well, that's
like,
what you
just
did. That's just was the
that was
that
the
was the
thing.
norm. Yeah.
It was the thing back then, but that is just such BS. And I
Mhm.
think people are desperate to see, my God, is that a wrinkle? Is that some skin texture?
Yeah.
Oh my God, is that a gap in their flower bed and a dying flower? Because they can trust it then. You know, there's so
Yeah.
little you can trust out there. Talking to the kids, they were like, oh, I know this is AI because it kind of shimmers and it's not real. And
Could I ask a personal
yeah.
question, actually? Because this is
Mm,
something that Becky and I have always struggled with internally, but have stayed true to not giving into it. Like now that we've been in property for a long and business in general for a long time, that we had a podcast conversation about this, which is, do you ever feel like pulled between, especially in property in the wealth space, there's a look, right? Or like if you're a business person, there's a look of what you're supposed to look like. But then you feel like you just want to like actually your normal life's pretty boring. There's nothing very aspirational to look at or take pictures. I'm like, personally, I don't have anything that's very aesthetic around me. Most things I buy is secondhand. Like as long as I make sure it lasts
same.
time, good quality. It doesn't look uh I'd say aspiring, but then there is a truth in for people getting into business, who are getting into wanting to get into property, they want to see something that looks like you've made it, you know? Because it's so ingrained that having the extremely fancy car or like this like beach lifestyle is the goal. And
Yeah.
how do we
I
change
think
that
it's made
narrative?
up.
Yeah, it's
I
made
love
up. It's
that.
a
I
load of
think,
rubbish.
yeah, yeah. But I also think it's not us, right? So the thing that's
Mhm.
really cool about this is what you're saying. I found that when I was starting out in this, I was listening to a lot of this Grant Cardone type. That was who existing, the business bros. We talk about it. Seedball is a very female-led business, like, and also loads of women working in it. We talk about it a lot. This aesthetic, this kind of thing, it doesn't feel very female in a weird way, you know? It's like I what am I saying? I'm saying that many women I've spoken to, very successful entrepreneurs, very high up, are looking not for the aesthetic, they're looking for the simplicity. They're looking for that ability to breathe. They're looking at people. The most conversions that I've ever had is saying, oh, I don't like talking to people on the phone. I've always emailed my offers in whilst I'm sat with my babies and watching TV or whatever. I'm or when I say, oh, I'm multitasking from a zoo or having a picnic instead of being in work, you know. I think the highest sales we've always made in across the board, actually, and it's very female led. So a lot of my audience, Seedball and my personal Instagram, is very female. So I don't know. I would guess that this is what's leading it, is that this lifestyle, this peacocking thing, is very different, perhaps, for a woman, because what we might want is ease much more, and that relief from the endless multitasking. Because
Yeah.
what's happened with emergency housing, I see there are other people in this social housing space, and they're all like, I was saying to the other day, it's like I'm talking to other people, I'm like, oh, they're all like rah rah, and I'm here and I'm doing this and here I am on site, and here I am in Dubai, and here I am this, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? It's so,
Yeah.
and they have that's the other space. So if you ever go social, do the hashtag like social housing, and there's me being just doing these like blah talking, and then there's this kind of spangly dangly madness, and I'm like, guys, emergency housing was a side hustle for me. It was
Mm.
such a side hustle that I barely spent any time in it. I was 4.5 hours away from being a preferred supplier. I went up once a year, twice a year. My team are amazing because I'm amazing to them and they're amazing to me back, and trustworthy and lovely. And it was all great. And they dealt with the things I couldn't bear because I couldn't be in emergency housing. I was housing the most chaotic people. And in fact, we've closed this down because now because my team retired and I'm going to start up in Brighton. But I was I am looking into starting a house that's called a wet house where people who are alcoholics can still drink, right? So I'm that because that's the least helped members of societies, those that can't get out of their addictions.
There needs to be
And it's
something for them.
yeah, so I would visit my houses sometimes and I'd just cry. Disaster. I used to be in like Stop the War at university and I had to stop because I would cry. They'd show these videos about people in war and I will cry like instantaneously. It's ridiculous. Like I can't I'm too touched by things to be the one that's the bro that's walking around and doing like other
On
people have
that
done that.
note, then how
Yeah.
do you like stop yourself becoming consumed by the things that you build? Like,
Yeah.
what's a good tip for anyone who really is very empathetic like yourself with the
Mm,
things like, because with building maximum impact in the world, there comes with a big, heavy responsibility, I can imagine. So, what do you do to stop yourself being consumed by it?
yeah, interesting question. I think that if I'm consumed by anything, I lose myself very quickly, right? So my nervous system dysregulates and I'm narky. I'm just not me. It's really not, it's not a good thing. So I have to distance myself and I always have done, right? So I did a lot of my studies, I would batch everything. So I always think batch everything, right? You have a good day and you're really happy and you like look in the mirror and you're like, looking good, da-da, right? Do all your content then. Do all your filming then. The light is great, right? You look great, you feel great, do it all, right? Batch everything. And then when you feel crap. That's okay.
Like,
Like
feel
you'll
it.
feel it, allow it. Like I was the not like 2 days ago, I was like, I'm on the sofa, I'm staying on the sofa. The sofa is me right now, and that's it. But like, and I can, and also I used to be very, very stressed, like with the kids when they were going off to nursery, they would come back and they're sick all the time. And I'd be like, I remember when I dysregulate, I'll have these obviously of damn you're being sick and ruining my abilities to become epic. And
Yeah.
just like go down that route. You can't be perfect, right? We're human. And I just realized, you know what? People get sick and
Yeah.
babies are gonna get sick and I'm gonna get sick and my like people will die and people will be ill, and because we're human and we're not that different to a chimp. So don't be you can't control it. So what about what you can control is really
Mm.
batch the days that you can control things, right? So everything is batched for me in general, which means that nothing requires me really to stay at like to turn up on a day. This required me to turn up on a day. That's very
Yeah.
rare. So if I want, I can bin my whole day every day. And I can just go play tennis or go for a walk or do share the things that you were talking about that's not aesthetic. Your aesthetic, your stuff. You were walking along the beach the other day and you wrote like something, I'm walking along the beach, maybe with your
Oh,
husband, and it was like,
Becky, yeah.
yeah, oh, was it Becky that did that? Yeah, picking up
Mm.
shells, right? People aspire to that level. Like back in the day when I was trapped, when I was a lecturer, 21, very young, I felt trapped, and I was like, this feeling I thought I'm never gonna get escape from. And I'm young and I'm gonna be stuck here forever and have to teach to make my money. And I was like, no, this is to change. Like, so I think the minute you feel trapped as a human being, realize you're not. Like everything that you do, I don't see anything that I have done that can not take a 3 month break from. That I've
Yeah.
built the whole thing so that anything that I do right now, if something happened, everything's going to run. right? And it's letting go of perfectionism, isn't it? Right.
Oh
So,
yeah.
you know, Seedball will run because Mika is insane and who runs she's the CEO. She'll run it all amazingly. My properties will run because I have letting agents. Loads of people have said, oh, don't do letting agents. But I have that because
Because your
that's
value is your time,
my
is
value
clearly your
is,
time.
yeah. And you can't build anything else, can you? Like,
Mm.
you know, and I knew I didn't, all I had to do with emergency housing is set it up. So your effort is there at the first bit. You've got huge effort at the beginning for anything vaguely passive. Say vaguely passive because
Yeah.
nothing is. And then it just ran. And I set it up to run without me to the extent that I wasn't really there. I'm just there in the background, you know, making it all tick along. And it was all very little effort.
It's effort,
And
but it's minimal effort. And I think
minimal.
Becky and I will say this, and that I think women, not just women, but if you're a parent, doing something
Parents
like
is the
this
better.
is the better one. But only talking from my experience as a woman,
Yeah.
but I mean parents, that something like this really gives you that flexibility to be able to still like be. I wish more people talked about it, that investing and doing businesses like this really allows you to control your time a lot more if you do have a sick kid and you need to be around and not feel bad that it's put a short pause on the impact that you're trying to make. It doesn't mean that, oh, it's gonna ruin everything that you've built already. It's just a short break and then you can carry on. It really works so well for anyone who wants to be a parent to do something like this. And it's when you talk about being feeling trapped in a job where you didn't have that time and control. I just hope that there's like a way that people can. I hope in the way this. I mean, yeah, it's difficult if you're in a corporate type of job to break away and get that time back. But I really think that what you're doing and being able to build such an impact with helping people, like being able to help people. I can't see any flaw in what you're doing because it's going to make so many impact, not just now, but in so like 5, 10, 20 years down the line. And the UK especially really, really needs this service.
Yeah. And people need, right, so it's like we really need it. And what you were saying that's really interesting in that people, I feel very sorry just in general for anyone who's in that position that I was when I was younger that are still there. And you said about it's hard for corporate people to get out, but I loved sourcing. So the only reason I sourced about 100 properties in my first year
Mhm.
was not for the money, although thank you very much, because that built so much good. So everyone who sourced from me, you bought a nature reserve, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, but it's very amazing to make people financially free. It's very
Mhm.
amazing to go to somebody and say to them, how much money do you need to make your life, right? And then to just go off and do that for them. And I loved it. And I also loved the fact that, you know, we bought so many houses that people knew that they were my houses. I had 10 build team, no, 10 builds. I had 10 properties on the run being refurbed at one time and 3 build teams. And all of our houses had hanging baskets out the front. And so that spread. And anything you choose to in this, you can make a huge difference. Once I was walking in the streets, very rough area, and had earpods in, and a policewoman stopped me in the street, and I was like, oh my God, because I was like, I've got houses from gangsters before to put them back into nice things. I like you deal with some interesting things as a sourcing agent. I was like, oh, what have I done? What have people I've done around me? I was like, crap. She was like, oh, are you Anna? I was like, oh no, what is there? And she was just like, you know, I just want to thank you because what has happened in the last year that you've been doing this is these houses are being changed, but but also there's amazing landlords coming in to an area where people always rented. So this is not an area where people were aspirational buyers. This is an area that everyone should realize some people are renters forever, for
Yeah,
always,
yeah, and some people
forever,
want to as well.
as they want to. They
Mm.
want to. And she's like, you've put in amazing landlords, you've put in like the hanging baskets, other people are doing that, and it's a safer community because if you
You've
buy
set
that
a
many
standard.
houses, you've set the standard and you've set the safety in the community, because some
Mm.
of the landlords that were there were not safe, you know. And I bought from those not safe landlords and got them out of the area. So
Yeah.
people think of sourcing agents as these, like, I don't know, they get a bad name, but
They
if
get a
you're,
bad name because of social media.
yeah, and
But
maybe the people that are in it, like,
mm,
and I what if if everybody was a sourcing agent like me, like, that you're a good person. You're helping people get
mm.
out of scary jobs. You make them financially free. They reach a level of wealth where they might set up an enterprise themselves to save the world. Plus, you're changing communities
But
around you.
Anna, I would say the difference though with like certain because I've also bought from sourcing agents too, but the difference with what you do is that you had a clearer picture that was beyond just I want to get really rich.
Yeah,
You have more of a you have thought further than that, whereas I think there is the you get the stereotype of some sources that come into it and are only thinking about themselves. That's the difference.
yeah, yeah. And you have to be aware, but in everything. Like the
Mm.
same thing is if you want to rent to emergency housing, anything where you're working with someone who's going to make a lot of money from this. So sourcing agents make a lot of money.
Mm.
Emergency housing makes a
And
lot of
there's
money.
no shame. That's great. That's
Well, that's why I
good.
did it as well. Like,
Yeah.
I want to
There's got
make
to be, you've got to, obviously for the time that you are putting in, and it's a lot of work, you should be rewarded for the work that you do.
Yeah, and the whole aim that I had was, how do you have maximum impact? How do you make maximum finance? So if anyone wants a blueprint, just follow what I've done.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But you're because of that, there's sharks out there,
Yeah.
in everywhere that these are. So I've started to put stuff on my website actually for people to how they choose a really good provider. How can you
That's
tell
good.
that it's not a shark, you know? Um, and I haven't done that with sourcing agents, but it's the same. It's kind of a due diligence thing.
Yeah.
Like, and it's scary because a lot of it is, how do you know? Obviously, if you work with a sourcing agent that's been around the block for a really long time, then you know that they are legit. But
Yeah.
some of
Yeah.
the new ones are amazing, but
They just need
very
to prove
hard.
somehow prove themselves.
Yeah. So, but it is going into this with awareness that to cover your back in lots of
Mm.
things and do all your due diligence always. But people forget that. Like, do your due diligence, check your numbers on everything that you do, and check the numbers of your emergency housing supplier. Like, if you're renting to them, it's not just a set and forget. Check their credit reports.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Or constantly,
check
it's the
what's
same with
going
letting
on.
agencies as well. Check
Yeah,
that they're still suitable for your business to keep running your
true.
investments to keep running.
Fair point, because there's a lot of letting agents. Also, was very Wild West years ago. It's
Yeah.
got a lot better, but that was huge. Wild. That was. There's always something.
There's always
What's the?
something, and then things get regulated, and then
Yeah,
things start to fall in place. That's just a circle of business life, investing life, and you just got to go through the peaks and troughs.
yeah. But I've followed those Wild West areas. I track it. I like it. I was a letting agent for a while, um,
Mm.
because it
Or
wasn't
didn't
that
you do?
regulated. I know, dude. But but everything is like not taken a lot of time. I know it sounds really
Yeah.
strange. I'm like, nothing really has taken that much time. And obviously, so we have the land, and that's just rewilding itself. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
lovely. Whilst we get another bit of land, and that's a system. So basically, all of the businesses give money to that pot so that we can buy land, which soon will be yearly, I hope, so that
That's
you've just got this
amazing.
exponential thing, like,
Becky and I will
that's
have to
running.
ask you more about that of how you do because that is something that's in our dream board is to be able to buy buy land
Land.
continuously throughout our lifetime. I'm gonna just keep chewing your ear off, so I know that I probably need to stop the podcast. Otherwise, I will keep on going because I you're uh so lovely to be able to talk to because I feel like we have a lot in common. but I don't want to chew your ear off. But I do have one
We can go again.
final, yeah, we'll go again. But I do have one final question I do want to ask you, and we ask all our guests this at the very end of the podcast, which is, honestly, the biggest lesson I've learned is, and that could be with anything in life. It doesn't have to be property and it doesn't have to be business. It's the biggest lesson that you've learned is.
The biggest lesson that I've learned is that you really can do anything that you want to do, and you're never too small to make a difference. So that's probably the biggest one. We go back to that quote about a mosquito. You really can do everything you want to do in life. It's just get there by bit, slowly.
I thought you were going to say the Lorax quote then.
If I could remember the last quote,
Yes.
the quote is, so that one was more like the Dalai Lama. If you ever think you're too small to make a difference, go to bed with a mosquito. And I
Uh,
and I always think to myself, I think to myself quite regularly, like, what have I done to make a difference today? And then adjust course a little bit. Because we are all mosquitoes. Like
mm.
nobody's my think about like my headmaster was like, you're not gonna get to sixth form, Anna. Like I want to go back to him and just be like,
Look at
oh.
everything I've done.
And he'd probably still be like, I don't know. But yeah, it's funny. You look back and it's just getting help. Also get help from people. Reach out, get mentorship. I wouldn't have got anywhere without it. I think that is
Oh yeah,
massive. You know,
100%. It's
I had like,
always worth it.
yeah, it's like you do a degree, like, and you've got a supervisor. You do your PhD, you've got a supervisor. And we had a mentor for Seedball, mentor for property, multiple mentors all the way. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And lots of what they do with me is actually trying to build my confidence, which sounds ironic, but that is what it is. It's like, it's so funny. They're like, yeah, you can do this. I'm like, yeah, I did all that, and I sometimes forget all the
Yeah.
time.
I think forever everyone lives with imposter syndrome, don't they? No matter how much impact they do make. But
Yeah,
Anna,
massive.
where can I send my listeners to find you?
Yeah, do send them to my Instagram, which is at dr.anna.attlee, and my website, which is anna.attlee.co.uk. And I'm always happy to help in the DMs. Anyone's working with anything that I've got expertise in, which is quite a large area. I really want to help, especially if it's somebody who really wants to make a difference in the world as well. Like I'm on board with that massively. So I want to have maximum impact. So I really
Yeah.
want to bring more in. Yeah.
Thank you, Anna. We need more
Thanks
people
for having
like
me.
you. And I really hope that this inspires anyone listening to this podcast to reach out to Anna, ask for her help if you're wanting to make um, maximum impact as well, whilst you'll have your time on this earth, then please reach out to her because she is a fantastic woman and I know that you'll learn so much from her. Thank you, Anna.
Yay, thank you for having me.
Bye.